What you're about to see is pre-alpha footage of Owen to Destruction. This was recorded months in advance, so there's still some placeholders in game. We're really hard at work right now and can't wait for you to get your hands on it at release.
Loud, boastful, and in charge.
Goldbag Maneater's hungry, and he's on a mission.
Goldbag sets up his camps, takes on some contracts, beats up everyone in the area, heads off again.
Money, meat, and the open road. Life's good when the loot's flowing. What more could an ogre possibly need? Goldbag Maneater. Are you his friend? Or his food? If you've coin, you can placate him. At least for a time. Yes, if the price is right, Goldbag will fight for any cause. But there's one closest to his heart. His stomach. Forget fame, forget sprawling hosts and great nations. Goldbag hungers for bounties and meals of mammoth proportions. And lucky for us, we've stumbled upon a buffet. I don't know why Ostlund and Nordland are fighting, but they've money and hate enough between them to keep us interested for a picnic or two. We'll bleed both sides dry and move on. An easy feat with the Maneater trait. Increased income from post-battle loot and decreased upkeep for Maneater units makes Goldbag a ravenous plague of an ogre. No surprise that he's the most successful and well-travelled of his kind. I'd expect no less from the official 100th Legendary Lord, despite what Andrew may have claimed in his showcase. But even living legends fall on hard times. We've a crummy camp, forlorn funds, and a lamentable larder. Our lads are eager to build up their loot piles, and a rumbling belly is to an ogre what peace is to a greenskin. Just unacceptable. Best get raiding. Raiding's a bit like reading if you're an illiterate ogre, so do browse our blog for a deeper dive into any of the mechanics, characters, and units introduced in this showcase. Now then, I'm Peckish. Roast bull, anyone?
Goldbag brings his loud, boastful personality into combat, and you'll quickly see this as he's tearing through enemy infantry, or just bogging down larger infantry such as cavalry or monsters. But one unique aspect he brings in for the ogres is the ability to take range shots or pop shots at enemy infantry.
Goldbag can go anywhere, work for anyone, and get involved in anything he wants to. The downside of that, though, is that the more time he helps out other factions, the less time he is building up his own economy. Goldbag sets up his camp, sacks and raises to get all the meat and loot he can from the surrounding area, and maybe he finds a contract to work for someone. He'll go and take on their enemies, beat up them, and then he finds the next contract somewhere else.
We've eaten, raised, and sacked our way through bickering menfolk and exotically seasoned green things to find ourselves in Ostermark, a land ripe with war, which can only mean fresh contracts. Goldbag's contracts are a unique way to meet new people, see the world, and make a little bit of pocket money, but they shouldn't be confused with Ogre Kingdom's contracts, which have been renamed to bounties and have had their own tweaks. Goldbag's contracts are entirely different, giving Total War Warhammer its first proper mercenary faction. Essentially, when we set up camp in a new region, the warring factions of that region are eager for us to turn the tide of their silly little squabbles. Yeah, I get it, Count Batface, the Empire's real mean. You got gold, or are we just chin-wagging? Oh, now we're cooking. Alright, yeah, we're in. With the contract accepted, we've now a turn limit to fulfill the requirements and reap the rewards. To fulfill the contract, we must take aggressive actions against the target faction or factions to gain points towards an overall goal. Once that goal is met, the contract's fulfilled, and we can either stay employed to the client or take our loot and find new business elsewhere. Of course, once that contract's fulfilled, there's nothing preventing us from turning around and accepting a new one from the faction we previously terrorized. Yeah, I get it, Mutton Chop. Vampires are real mean, but they're also quite lean from a meat perspective, so you're on your own, mate. Set up shop, fight for the locals, eat the locals, take their gold, and move on. That's the life for Goldbag. Each contract takes us further and further afield, our camp forever trailing behind us. Wherever there is war, there are contracts. Some are tempting, but not always in the direction of our heart's desire. In this way, Goldbag edges ever closer to his mammoth meal. Northward then, into Kislev, or, as we like to call it, the Frozen Isle.
Contracts are really exciting. It's a completely new lens on the Warhammer world. Normally, you look at territory as, I need to go get this for myself. that's just my new expansion, but now you consider there's a nice contract here. Do I actually work for someone else and give the land to them? Maybe double cross them later and give it to somebody else, and later again, maybe it should be yours after all.
The current army ability system for the ogres doesn't necessarily take into account what they're all about. They're these large creatures that's all about charging into combat and tenderizing any target that's in their way. Through the rework, we're going to be changing that, so every unit that's charging on the battlefield, the player will progressively gain points to spend on their army abilities.
Ogres in Warhammer 3 are already a great race, but we felt that it was missing a little bit of the nomad fantasy that comes from the tabletop. So now we've made camps more important, allowing them to move, changing how they build. We've also made meat more important to emphasize sacking and raiding. So when ogres turn up to your territory, it's trouble and you need to get rid of them as soon as possible.
Great Orthodoxy, Ice Court, they taste the same, so what are they fighting about? Don't know, don't care. We're happy to brawl for all sides, so long as the gold and the meat keep flowing. And both are. The camp's growing thanks to our excess of meat, the lads' bellies are full, making them better fighters, and Golfag's gained a bit of notoriety, earning himself a big name. Big names have altered requirements to gain, and are now more powerful than they used to be. You could say they're bigger than before. But big ogres means big hunger, and meat will now play a more vital role in the ogre playstyle. We'll need meat to grow our camps, manage the effectiveness of our units in battle via the hunger gauge, and use it to decide how to interact more tactically with the Great Maw. Speaking of meat, Kislev's offering a decent buffet, but it's not quite the feast we were hoping for. Norsca then. Let them tremble before our big names.
Currently, you can only have a single big name, which isn't really true to how the ogres are. Greasus has many. So now you can have all of the big names, but to make it a bit more balanced, we've made the conditions to get the big names a bit harder and made the effects a bit more exciting to match.
Big names will have a more grander impact in battle through various buffs to statistics or just additional abilities that will help give you that edge in combat.
The offerings to the Maw right now are one-use abilities that happen every 10 turns, which we didn't think was very engaging. So now you can have multiple offerings to the Maw active at a time, but it just comes with a meat upkeep. So if you've got lots of meat on your armies, you can have all of them going at a single time, but it's going to cost you.
Could it be? Doth my rumbling belly betray me? Nay, 'tis it, the promised meal. One last battle to fulfill Marienberg's contract, and a mammoth meal to sink our teeth into. First though, let's change up our offerings to the Great Maw, making them battle-focused for the feast to come. This is it, boys. Ready your bellies, file your teeth, open your gobs, and let's get some meat. Right, here's the plan. Kill the menfolk till they die dead, then eat them afterwards. Great plan, best plan. Yeah, they've got cavalry, giants, mammoths, skinwolves, and the wrath of the chaos gods behind them, but we've got pigback riders.
The Pigback Riders are a very unusual unit, but it's through that unusualness you will find a bit of a surprise. They're very well equipped against cavalry units and just large units in general.
Oh, no, Wulfric, no. You're not getting away from us that easily. Meet my good friends, the Yetis.
Yetis are these mountainous, aggressive creatures that have an unusual ability to create ice weapons out of crude objects, such as clubs. They're also able to debuff units around them.
Debuffs are great, but this is just all a bit chaotic. Thank the Great Maw, we've got a Bruiser keeping everyone in line.
Bruiser both acts as an aggressive and supportive role for the Yoga Kingdoms. Where the Tyrant's attention lays elsewhere, it's down to the Bruiser to make sure that everyone is fighting to the best of their capabilities.
Sometimes the Bruiser's not enough. Sometimes you need Bragg the Gutsman.
Bragg is a Reaper and an Executioner both in name and from the gameplay perspective. He's a terrifying figure amongst the Ogres due to his taboo way of killing them.
You know, this is shaping up to be quite the dinner party. All we're missing now is the Thunder Tusk.
The Thunder Tusk is this large, hulking creature that's able to manipulate the elements around it to create ice projectiles.
They scream and they run.
Victory so certain, Golfag can already smell the barbecues and taste gold on his tongue. All that's left now is, wait, no, we didn't order fast food. Come on, Golfag. A bit of cardio before dinner never killed anyone. Will Golfag catch his meal? How far will his stomach take him? Or will you indulge his lust for loot and raid the world? Thoughts, comments, recipes? Let us know in the comments below or follow our links to wishlist now.
Seen our rays, but the more